Every nation has its myths, stories told from one generation to the next that shape the national soul. For Argentina, a country that lives and breathes football, that myth was forged in the dusty streets of Rosario. There, on June 24th, 1987, a boy named Lionel Messi was born. He was not a loud or conspicuous child, but when the ball was at his feet, he became a force of nature. Joining the Newell's Old Boys youth team at just 6 years old, he played a brand of football that seemed to come from another world. It is said he scored over 500 goals, a phenomenal number that foretold a great destiny awaiting him. But destiny often tests its chosen ones in the harshest ways. At the age of 10, a dark shadow fell over his future. Messi was diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency. The boy who could dance through any defense was now imprisoned by his own body. The cost of treatment was an unimaginable burden for his family. Their dream, the dream of a prodigious talent, was in danger of being extinguished forever. Imagine the desperation of a family holding a national treasure but lacking the means to protect it. This was the beginning of the hero's journey, a trial not just of talent, but of faith and sacrifice. From this fragile moment, the legend began to be written. Could a small boy overcome adversity to carry a nation on his shoulders? Hope came from across the ocean, from Catalonia, where the great club FC Barcelona saw the spark of genius in his small frame. With a legendary contract hastily written on a napkin, they gambled on his future, covering all his medical expenses. It was not just a contract, it was a prophecy. The famed La Masia Academy became an alchemist's forge, turning the quiet boy into an unstoppable weapon. Alongside his peers, he formed the Baby Dream Team, a golden generation that would dominate world football. When he was promoted to the first team, Messi did not walk. He soared. Under the mentorship of the king, Ronaldinho, who gave him his smile and assisted his first goal, Messi learned how to become a king himself. The arrival of coach Pep Guardiola ushered in an era of absolute dominance. Messi's Barcelona did not just play football, they performed a flawless art. In 2009, they conquered every trophy, and in the Champions League final, Messi rose into the air, heading the ball into Manchester United's net in a moment that defied the laws of physics. The boy who was once considered too small now stood on top of the world. 4 consecutive Ballon d'Or awards before the age of 25, an unprecedented feat, confirmed him as the undisputed king of contemporary football. All of Europe knelt before him. But as his glory in Barcelona grew brighter, the yearning of the Argentine people grew stronger. They wondered, when would this king bring his crown home? Wearing the blue and white stripes of Argentina is unlike wearing any other jersey. It is not just a uniform. It is a symbol of the passion, pride, and scars of a nation. For Messi, that shirt also carried the ghost of a saint, Diego Maradona. Every dribble, every goal was weighed against the legacy of his great predecessor. It was a burden few could bear. The 2010 World Cup in South Africa was supposed to be his coronation, with Maradona himself as the coach. But the dream turned into a nightmare. A ruthless German machine crushed Argentina 4-0 in the quarter-finals. Messi, the king of Europe, left the field in silence, without a single goal. The criticism back home was merciless. They said he was Catalan at heart, that he only shone when surrounded by stars at Barcelona. They questioned his love for his country. They did not understand that no one craved to bring glory to Argentina more than he did. With every failure, the weight on his shoulders grew heavier. He wasn't just playing for himself. He was playing for 45 million people who saw him as the embodiment of their dreams. He was their beacon of hope. But that beacon was battling the fiercest of storms. Could a son's love be strong enough to overcome the doubts of his own nation? A hero's journey must always pass through the valley of despair. For Messi and Argentina, that valley lasted 3 years, with three fateful finals. First came the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, the land of their arch-rival. Messi played a brilliant tournament. He was the leader, the inspiration, carrying a less-than-mighty team to the final match. The entire nation of Argentina held its breath. The championship was just one game away. But then, in a cruel moment in extra time, Mario Götze's goal stabbed a dagger through the heart of the nation. The image of Messi walking up to receive the Player of the Tournament award with a soulless expression became one of the most tragic moments in sports. The individual golden trophy was meaningless in the face of collective defeat. That pain had not yet subsided when, a year later, in the 2015 Copa América final, they fell again to the host nation, Chile, in a penalty shootout. And then, like a cruel joke of fate, the 2016 Copa América Centenario final once again saw Argentina face Chile, and once again, they lost on penalties. Messi himself, the man who carried all their hopes, missed his spot kick. 3 years, 3 major finals, 3 times falling at the gates of heaven. It was no longer pain, it was a curse. The image of Messi breaking down in tears on the field silenced the world. The hero was exhausted. He announced his retirement from the national team. All of Argentina was in shock. Was this the end of a generation's dream? When a hero falls, it is the call of his people that raises him up. Messi's retirement announcement created an unprecedented wave of love across Argentina. From young children to politicians, everyone begged him to stay. They realized they had been too hard on their finest son. They didn't need a second Maradona. They needed Lionel Messi. And he listened. He returned, not for personal glory, but for the love of the blue and white jersey, because he could not abandon those who believed in him. This return marked a profound change. He was no longer the quiet boy, but a true leader, ready to fight until his last breath for his teammates. Meanwhile, the great rivalry with Cristiano Ronaldo added more fuel to the narrative. Ronaldo had won the European Championship with Portugal, an achievement many used to diminish Messi's legacy. The whispers resurfaced, claiming Messi could never be the greatest without a major international trophy. But these criticisms no longer hurt him. They became his motivation. Every failure, every tear, had forged his will into steel. The hero had returned from the abyss, stronger and more determined. He knew his redemptive journey had only just begun. Could resilience triumph over a cruel destiny? It would take several more years, and another disappointing World Cup in 2018, before the chance for redemption truly arrived. The 2021 Copa América, held in Brazil, the home of their eternal rival. A new generation of players had gathered around Messi, not as teammates, but as loyal soldiers, ready to do anything for their captain. They shared one goal: to win for Leo. Before the final at the legendary Maracanã Stadium, where Argentina had tasted ultimate pain in 2014, a sacred vow was made. They would fight not just for themselves, but for their captain, who had sacrificed so much for the shirt. The match was breathless, and a single goal by Angel Di Maria decided it all. When the final whistle blew, the entire Argentine team ran towards one man. Lionel Messi collapsed to his knees, his face in his hands. The burden he had carried for 16 long years was finally lifted. His teammates tossed him into the air like a victorious king returning home. The curse was broken. The tears this time were of boundless joy. He had done it. He had brought home Argentina's first major trophy in 28 years. It was a victory not just of football, but of will and loyalty. But deep in the heart of every Argentine, they knew this was only the dawn. There was still one final, highest, most glorious peak awaiting their hero. In 2022, at the age of 35, Lionel Messi arrived in Qatar for his final World Cup. This was the last dance, the final chance for him to touch the coveted golden trophy, to complete his legacy and end all debate. The entire world watched his every step. Argentina entered the tournament on a 36-match unbeaten streak, carrying the hopes of a nation. But in the opening match, a terrible shock occurred. They lost to a vastly underestimated Saudi Arabia. The unbeaten streak was shattered. The dream was on the verge of becoming a nightmare. The taunts rang out again. "Where is Messi?" The pressure was now suffocating. Every remaining game was a do-or-die final. But it was in this darkest hour that the hero's character shone brightest. In the locker room, Messi stood up, not with silence but with a voice of steel. He commanded his teammates to have faith, to stay united. He promised they would not let their country down. From that moment on, a different Argentina emerged. They were no longer a team, but an army, fighting with the spirit of warriors. Messi was their general. He didn't just score or assist. He inspired, he fought, he did everything to drive his team forward. They overcame every opponent, from a fiery quarterfinal against the Netherlands to a dominant semifinal against Croatia. They were back in the World Cup final, ready for one last battle. The 2022 World Cup final was not a football match. It was an epic saga, the greatest drama ever written. Their opponent was the defending champion, France, led by the young superstar Kylian Mbappé, the heir to Messi's throne. For 80 minutes, Argentina played perfectly. They led 2-0, with a goal from Messi from the penalty spot. The golden trophy was within their grasp. But then, in just 97 seconds, Mbappé scored twice, dragging the game back from the brink. The world was stunned. In extra time, Messi scored again to put Argentina ahead, but then Mbappé equalized again, completing his hat trick. The match would be decided by penalties. Destiny chose to test its hero to the absolute limit. As the shootout began, the entire nation of Argentina stopped breathing. Every successful kick, every save by goalkeeper Emi Martinez pushed the emotion to its peak. And then, it came down to the final kick. Gonzalo Montiel stepped forward. One more kick, and a 36-year-old dream would become reality. He scored. In that moment, time stood still. Lionel Messi fell to his knees in the center circle, his face buried in his hands. He wept. All of Argentina wept. They were tears of release, of overwhelming joy after so many years of bitterness. He had done it. He had brought the World Cup home. The moment Lionel Messi lifted the World Cup trophy was not just the end of a match. It was the culmination of one of the greatest journeys in sports history. The small boy who was once doubted for his size now stood taller than anyone, carrying the world on his shoulders. He proved that will and love can conquer all adversity. Messi's legacy is not in the numbers, the Ballon d'Or, or the records. His legacy is hope. He is living proof that one must never give up, no matter how many times you fall. He taught an entire nation and the world that after the darkest nights, the brightest dawn will come. He is no longer a football player. He has become part of the Argentine soul, an eternal symbol of the nation. His story will be told to future generations as a lesson in courage, perseverance, and boundless love for one's homeland. He fulfilled his mission, not just to win a title, but to bring joy and unity to millions of hearts. The debate is over. The story is complete. Lionel Messi, the son of Rosario, the hero of Argentina, is now an immortal legend for all time.